Good day, everyone. It is February 20th, 2020. This is Charles Chat, a weekly video log that I've been doing for, I guess about 6 months or maybe a little bit longer. And it is the one day of the week in which I video instead of post any words on a screen. And I started doing this, like I said, last year as a way to challenge myself and maybe just experiment a little bit with a different format of communication. And I've been having fun with it, and thank you for being faithful to watch it and give me feedback over the course of the history of this video log. So today I thought I would talk a little bit about the importance of defining your terms when you are having a conversation or a dialogue, specifically on doctrine. I've been learning this both the easy way and the hard way in ministry. I will give you an example of something that happened to me when I was in my first year here at Wichita Bible Church. We have a car show that takes place in our parking lot during the fall, and it is a event for the community. It's an opportunity for us as a church to get to know people in our neighborhood and develop relationships and hopefully have a gospel impact. And I had a conversation with a young man who lived in the neighborhood around our church. He came up to me and asked if he could ask some questions about the church. And I said, sure, absolutely. The first question that he asked me was this. He said, is your church a gay-friendly church? Well, that's a question that, at least at the first look at it, does not need to be immediately answered until you know what he means by the words gay-friendly. And so we spent about 20-25 minutes trying to understand, or I spent 20-25 minutes trying to understand what he meant by gay-friendly. And, there are a lot of different ways you could interpret even that one word. You can interpret it as, does your church teach that homosexuality is okay in the sight of God? You could interpret that as, if I come to your church as a professing homosexual, am I going to be welcome? And there's a lot of different ways you can interpret that. So that's that's an important opportunity. And it was an important opportunity. I had a chance to share the gospel with him as a result and talk to him about sanctification and what God's view of homosexuality is, but that God is also a God who refines us and purifies us. And so it was a really good conversation. It wasn't hostile at all. I think if I maybe answered it a little bit harsher than I did at the very beginning, it might not have turned into an opportunity to share the gospel. So defining the terms is important when you are dialoguing with someone in particular where you know there's going to be the possibility of pushback or debate. Make sure you understand each other. Make sure you understand when somebody says, for example, Reformed theology. What do they mean? Don't assume they mean Calvinism. Don't assume they mean the five solas. They may just simply mean, are you reforming? Are you changing? There are a lot of different ways you can take that term. I try to ask lots of questions before I give an answer. And that's something I've learned not just in dialogues and debates, but something I learned in the counseling room as well. When someone tells me they are depressed, I don't want to bring my textbook definition of depression into my drawing of conclusions. I want to know what they mean by depressed. They may not understand depressed. They may just be feeling sad. They may be feeling disappointed. They may be feeling pain, hurt, anguish. There's a lot of different ways. And so that the way somebody uses that term in the counseling room is important because it puts me in a position where I need to make sure I define what they mean by it before I start to give them counsel from Scripture. So it's like those proverbs, there's several proverbs that talk about, the fool who discerns a matter or concludes a matter before he's heard the matter. And we don't want to do that as Christians. As Christians, we want to be precise, and we want to make sure that we understand and listen to each other carefully. So just want to encourage you today in those kinds of conversations that I'm referring to, that I'm illustrating with today, define your terms. Don't make assumptions that you understand what people are saying when they say them. Ask questions. Did I hear you right? Is this what you're saying? Help me understand this better. I think this is what you mean, but I'm not quite sure. Am I getting it yet? Ask those kinds of questions before you start drawing conclusions. And I think you'll find But a lot of even the debates that you could have as a Christian with other Christians or even non-Christians will go a lot further. They'll be a lot more productive. They'll probably be a lot more generous. And if you can have those kinds of conversations, you're going to have a lot more opportunities to show people Christ, to be a true learner, and to show some teachability. So just a couple thoughts there for the day. Define your terms, and I think you'll find that you'll be in a better place to have much more fruitful dialogue with one another. Have a great one.